Superheroes face a diabolical plot to eliminate them in the comic book movie Watchmen, just started on 2.
3 Irish millionaires will go undercover in some of Ireland's most deprived areas whilst living on the minimum wage.
That's 12.5 € a day.
They will work side by side with people they could help.
We don't have problems when you see that.
At the end of their stay, they will give away thousands of euros of their own money. A new series, The Secret Millionaire, starts Monday at 9:35 on RTE 1.
Hot lights are back with brand new shoes with super traction and they light up the night. They're fast, they're cool, they're bright. Hot lights by Skechers.
How do I stay feeling young? By stimulating my body, my mind, my curiosity. And when it comes to my skin, I've got it covered with Revitalift. It works. My skin feels firmer. My lines seem to fade.
Enriched with Pro-Retinol A and Pro-Firmal.
Revitalift your skin every day. It makes all the difference.
It's not a facelift. It's new Revitalift from L'Oréal Paris.
We're working.
Join the Arthur's Day celebrations at 17:59 on the 22nd of September.
Breast milk is the best protection for your baby. And nothing compares to it. If you choose to move on, we've created Aptamil Follow-On Milk. Benefiting from 30 years' experience in breast milk research, it supports your baby in her new discoveries. Aptamil Follow-On helps support your baby from the inside.
Kellogg's Nutri-Grain. Official snack of the Irish rugby team. Unofficial snack of everyone else.
The most important thing in life is taking care of your family. A close second is your wallet. Our savings have that wrapped up too. Take care. Take Quinn Healthcare.
Behind the scenes secrets of the X Factor. What happens when the cameras stop rolling? It's wild. Only in tomorrow's Irish Sunday Mirror.
Who are you going to sit with this morning?
My best friend Adam or Paddy.
Try and find them all seats. And your lunch is inside the lunchbox, okay? You all fold your arms like this? Show me 3 fingers.
Leave but nothing, tell me everything.
The taste of home. For us, good food is just the start of it.
What makes colour legendary? The shine, dazzling. The colour, luxurious. L'Oréal Paris Recital Preference. Colour famous for its luminous quality. Show-stopping fade defiance for up to 6 weeks.
Don't let it go away.
Recital Preference. Colour so luxe, it's legendary.
Kids are always trying new things, and so is Persil, which just got better. New Persil Small and Mighty is unbeatable on stains like blood and mud, even in 30 minutes. New Persil Small and Mighty, unbeatable results.
Join myself, Gráinne Seolga.
And me, Des Cahill, for a very special Up for the Match.
We've waited 26 years for old rivals Kerry and Dublin to go head-to-head. We've a packed show for you tonight.
We sure do, and we're giving you a last chance to get hold of these precious match tickets.
That's Up for the Match after the news and weather.
Radio Telefi Sharon. Now on 1, the RTE main evening news with Una O'Hagan.
Good evening and welcome. The headlines. A 49-year-old woman is stabbed to death in Roscommon town. Independents back McGuinness presidential nomination as David Norris confirms he's back in the race. And Ireland produced shock result of Rugby World Cup with stunning win over Australia. A murder investigation is underway in Roscommon town after a 49-year-old woman was stabbed to death. She was found lying on the road outside her home at Abbeytown Estate. A man in his 20s has been arrested.
Shocked and grief-stricken neighbours laying flowers this evening at the home of the murdered woman. She'd been attacked and repeatedly stabbed and was found lying critically ill on the road outside her house at 2:30 this afternoon. Medical teams worked to try to save her life, but she was pronounced dead an hour and a half later. A post-mortem examination will be carried out tomorrow. Gardaí immediately sealed off the area and a technical examination got underway. To her neighbours, the murdered woman was a gentle and caring person, whose tragic death is, they say, almost incomprehensible. A man in his 20s who was arrested at the scene shortly after 2:30 this afternoon is being detained here at Roscommon Garda station. Gardaí say they're following a definite line of inquiry in their murder investigation and are not seeking to interview anybody else at this time. They are, however, anxious to speak to anybody who is in the Abbeytown area between 2 and 2:30 today, as they attempt to build up a picture of the sequence of events which led to the stabbing and the violent death of the 49-year-old mother of two. Jim Fahey, RTE News, Roscommon.
And if you have any information on that fatal stabbing, you can contact the incident room at Roscommon Garda Station at 090 663 8300. 4 independent TDs are to sign the presidential nomination papers for Sinn Féin's deputy leader Martin McGuinness. Meanwhile, Senator David Norris, who'd pulled out of the race last month, has confirmed he wants to rejoin the contest.
With just 11 days until nominations close, the presidential candidate lineup has evolved yet again. Last night, Senator David Norris said he hopes to re-enter the race, despite quitting amid controversy surrounding the clemency appeal he made for his former partner, convicted of statutory rape of a 15-year-old boy. It's believed he has support from 7 Oireachtas members. He needs 20.
It's a challenge. I've always taken up challenges, and I respect the decision, whatever way it goes, of my colleagues. But I will be looking for their support.
The Sinn Féin candidate Martin McGuinness will get the nod from the party's Ard Comhairle meeting tomorrow. And as well as Sinn Féin Oireachtas members, the party says independent TDs Finian McGrath, Michael Healy-Rae, Tom Fleming and Luke Flanagan will also back him. But will his IRA past be a drag on his campaign?
That's the nature of Irish politics, that's the nature of Irish history. People have to judge you on what you've been doing, what I've been doing over the last 2 decades. What I'm doing at the moment and what I intend to do in the future.
Fine Gael and Labour candidates were canvassing support in Dublin today, and rather than dwelling on new campaign entrants, they wanted to switch the focus to their policy offerings.
Whoever enters the campaign and is nominated, I will be very happy to debate the issues with them. And the sooner we get down to debating the issues, the better, because there are a lot of issues to be debated.
I'm not worried about any candidate at all entering the race. There is now a certain impatience for the list to be known, so that we can get on talking about the presidency.
The candidates that travelled the local authority route to nomination were busy campaigning as well. Mary Davis in counties Kilkenny and Laois, and Sean Gallagher in counties Tipperary and Waterford. Separately, a new opinion poll to be published in tomorrow's Sunday Independent puts Michael D. Higgins well ahead of the other candidates. The poll, taken in the 2 weeks up until last Wednesday, included David Norris, but does not take account of Martin McGuinness's entry into the race, however. The poll gives Michael D. Higgins 32%, David Norris 19%, Mary Davis 18%, up 5, Gay Mitchell 17%, down 4, and Sean Gallagher 14%, up 3. Joe McGrailey, RTE News, Dublin.
The government has been accused of abandoning its promise to seek to impose losses on senior bondholders in Anglo-Irish Bank. After meeting ECB Chief Jean-Claude Trichet in Poland, Finance Minister Michael Noonan conceded that any voluntary burden sharing may not be worth the risk to Ireland's reputation.
Michael Noonan heading into a crunch meeting with the head of the ECB today. On the agenda, burning senior bondholders at Anglo-Irish Bank and Irish Nationwide. The two men spoke for 30 minutes and Mr. Trichet restated his blanket opposition to the plan. Around $3 billion worth of senior unguaranteed unsecured debt remains. But the Minister for Finance has now conceded that any savings may be as little as €100 million. And the risk to Ireland's reputation, along with the implacable attitude of the EU authorities, mean it may not be worth pursuing. Sinn Féin have slammed the move as a smack in the face to taxpayers, while Fianna Fáil say the government have backed down.
The Fine Gael Labour made a very clear commitment and promise to the Irish people that no further money would be given to the Irish banks unless senior bondholders made a contribution. And now we've had €17 billion put into the banks with no contribution whatsoever. The government asked Jean-Claude Trichet if bondholders could make a contribution. He said no, and now they seem to have very politely just accepted that.
The government is now concentrating on getting concessions in the cost of recapitalising Anglo-Irish Bank and Irish Nationwide. They say that the promissory notes used to put the money in are too expensive, and they want an extension of the loan term or a reduction in the interest rate. Sandra Hurley, RTE News at the Department of Finance.
A new support group was launched today for children suffering from a chronic sleep disorder linked to one of the vaccines used to ward off swine flu in 2009 and 2010. So far, 30 cases of narcolepsy have been identified. The HSE says it's now put arrangements in place for speedy tests and diagnosis.
Twins Sean and Kyle Plunkett both have mild asthma and were in the at-risk group for swine flu. Their mum, Eilish, had them vaccinated 2 years ago, but within a month she noticed a big change in one of them.
Sean started falling asleep during the day. We noticed it first in the car. Before we'd even left the driveway, he'd be asleep. And it progressed from there, from falling asleep in the car to every single time he sat down anywhere, he'd go asleep.
Well, I kind of have a sleeping illness that it's kind of a bit annoying.
He also has what he calls jelly legs, and his legs just literally go from under him. He collapses.
Today, parents like Eilish and her husband Graham came together to form a support group called Sound.
We believe there are a lot more children in this country who are suffering from this condition, who have not been diagnosed, and parents are struggling to figure out what's wrong with their children.
Scandinavian studies indicate a link between the flu vaccine pandemics and a rise in narcolepsy in children. There's no cure, although medicine helps. The HSE says it will support those affected, but hopes it won't put people off having vaccinations.
Like all drugs, there are pros and cons. And, you know, a lot of people avoided the disease, both in 2009-10 and again last year in 10-11. And in both of those years, people died from the flu.
The Minister for Health has said that he'll meet representatives of the group at the earliest opportunity. Anne-Marie Smith, RTE News, Dublin.
9 people were killed and dozens more injured at an air show in the US state of Nevada when a vintage World War II plane crashed. The aircraft came down in an area roped off for spectators at the National Championship air races in Reno, but managed to swerve to avoid hitting the main grandstand. The 70-year-old pilot was a former movie stunt flyer. Some of those injured are said to be in a critical condition with burns. Now, all the day's sports news. Here's Joe.
Thanks, Ewan, and a very good night to you. Not any exaggeration to describe events this morning as a momentous day for Irish rugby. Declan Kiddy's men have put their recent tough times behind them with a richly deserved and hugely important 15-6 win over Australia at Eden Park in Auckland. It was a victory fashioned by the forwards and delivered by Jonathan Sexton and Ronan O'Gara. The Corkman signalled afterwards his international days are about to come to an end.
Irish rugby has seen many great days, particularly in recent years, but the events in Auckland will take some beating. Tri-Nations champions and only behind New Zealand in the world rankings, Australia were well beaten. Ireland went behind to an early James O'Connor penalty, but Jonathan Sexton levelled with the first of 2 successful penalties. His drop goal gave Ireland the lead, but it was 6-all at half-time, with O'Connor slotting over his second penalty for Australia. Ireland led 9-6 by the time Ronan O'Gara took over the kicking duties from Sexton. O'Gara was on for the injured Gordon Darcy. Australia failed to add to their 6 first-half points, and Ireland's advantage was increased to 9. All that was missing was a try, and it almost came.
They go left, Cooper, a pass, interception! Tommy Bowler length of the pitch! It's 2-1! Tommy Bowler got momentum! The money-hit winger going! James O'Connor coming across! Has he got the pace? Tommy Bow! Just tackled into touch!
Conor Murray did cross the line, but the try was disallowed, and soon after, it was all over.
How fitting that it's the captain on a record-breaking night for Brian O'Driscoll. The final whistle goes and Ireland have beaten the Wallabies.
With top spot in the pool now in Ireland's sights, a likely quarter-final with Wales or Samoa, and not South Africa, surely awaits. Dave Kelly, RTE News.
Sometimes in sport you just get a feeling that something special might happen. There was no real basis for Irish fans' optimism ahead of kick-off in Eden Park tonight, but every single voice that cheered on their team with incredible passion was rewarded with the first ever victory against Australia at the Rugby World Cup.
Marvellous performance. We came the whole way from Ireland to watch this and it was worth every minute.
It was a great performance from Ireland. They were fantastic today now. They really were. Everything just kind of went their way today, and yeah, we'll take that.
This performance, led from the front by a ferocious and determined Ireland pack, must rank as one of the best for the senior players in the camp. None more so than captain Brian O'Driscoll.
We said that this is going to be a squad thing. If we're to do something, it's going to take all the squad. And you know, we spoke last night, and Paulie spoke, and Fla presented the jerseys, knowing that he was going home tomorrow. All those small things just build it up for us. And you know, when the motivation and the hype is created, you have to deliver, and we managed to do that.
For Ronan O'Gara, whose second half penalties after coming off the bench sealed a glorious win, the occasion was overwhelming.
I'm struggling, like my kids and wife are at home, and it's massive, you know. This is it for us. I'm done with Ireland in a few weeks. I had a great time in this jersey, but I want this to be the biggest time, and it's a great team, great bunch of lads, and it means a lot to us, yeah.
True to form and true to character, Ireland's coach remained calm and unfazed by the significance of this achievement.
You know, it's a privilege to be involved in this team, and we're delighted that we gave the people at home something to cheer about. Hopefully there'll be big breakfasts had by everybody, and you know, we're incredibly hard on one another in Ireland. We always seem to be knocking one another, and I think until we get over that, we won't go places, but this team rose above that, I think, and you know, it wasn't overly pretty, but they went out, they wanted to do a job, and they did it.
It's difficult to put into words exactly what this means for this particular Irish rugby team and for Irish rugby in general. No question there is still plenty of work to be done in the pool stages at the very least. But for this night alone, history has been made and Ireland have beaten Australia in the Rugby World Cup. Hugh Cal, RTE News, Eden Park.
Well, here at home, Irish rugby fans gathered for breakfast mornings in clubs all over the country. In Dungannon, that's the home of Stephen Ferris. It was a proud group of Irish supporters who gathered to celebrate the historic win.
Scenes of joy in Dungannon as Ireland finally got it right.
First class, right out of the top drawer. They don't deserve anything less than a 15-6 win.
Ireland played their best rugby I've seen in years, and they're outstanding in every aspect of the game. Forwards especially.
A first ever World Cup win against the Aussies heralded more than just a moral victory and crucially puts Ireland in control of Pool C.
Hopefully we'll get a good result with the next two. We don't capitulate to any one of the next two matches, but we'll look forward to them now.
Local hero Stephen Ferris also played his part in the Titanic victory. Those who know him well relished the sight of him performing on the big stage.
To see him back today, playing well, carrying well, big strong man, and he's a tremendous asset to the Irish side.
The praise wasn't reserved to just the Irish fans. The pundits too were pleasantly surprised with today's performance.
We knew Ireland would dig deep, we knew they had more to give, but nobody expected us to play the way they did. I mean, the scrum was so dominant, our set-piece game. We capitalised on their injuries to the full before the game. And there was a ruthlessness, a cohesion, a unity of purpose about Ireland and a tempo to their game that we haven't witnessed before.
This isn't just a one-off. This team grew into this game and they actually played better as the game went on, which means to me they'll play better as the World Cup goes on too.
While today's result will certainly catch the eye of the world's elite, managing expectations and winning the pool must be the absolute focus. That job continues next Sunday morning against Russia. Jackie Hurley, RTE News.
Well, elsewhere at the World Cup, Argentina were comfortable 43-8 winners against Romania, while South Africa remain on course to top Pool D after a 49-3 mauling of Fiji. The reigning world champions also picked up a bonus point as they ran in 6 tries. Wales take on Samoa tomorrow in what's likely to be a shootout for second spot in the pool. Well, let's stay with rugby. Leinster were beaten 23-19 by the Glasgow Warriors in tonight's Rubber Direct Pro 12 game. That was on at the RDS. Munster had a more comfortable night in Musgrave Park against the Scarlets. Doug Howlett crossed for the game's first try after 15 minutes. 10 points from the boot of Ian Keatley. And a penalty try saw Munster lead 20 points to 9 at half-time. Now, Dan Newton kept the scoreboard ticking over for the Scarlets, but further tries from substitutes Duncan Williams and Tommy O'Donnell effectively ended the contest. The final score at Musgrave Park was Munster 35, Scarlets 12. Well, Arsenal dominated the night's English Premier League headlines, but for all the wrong reasons from their point of view. Arsene Wenger's men lost out by an odd goal in 7 at Ewood Park, despite leading twice. Now, 2 second-half own goals coming from Alex Song and Laurent Koscielny spelled their downfall. It ended 4-3 there. It ended 1-1 at Villa Park between Aston Villa and Newcastle. Irish international Leon Best grabbed an equaliser after Agbon Lahore had opened the scoring. Now, Villa had Shay Given to thank for ensuring they finished with the point. The Donegal man pulled off a number of fine saves to ensure it ended honours even. And let's take a check then on the day's Premier League results. As you saw, Arsenal beaten 4-3 by Blackburn, Aston Villa and Newcastle sharing a goal apiece. Elsewhere, Norwich were 2-1 winners at Bolton. Everton beat Wigan 3-1. Swansea picked up a valuable 3-0 win at home to West Brom, while Wolves were beaten 3-0 at home by Queen's Park Rangers. Now in golf, Great Britain and Ireland are closing in on victory against continental Europe after the third day of the Vivendi Seve Trophy. Paul McGinley's side raced into an 11.5 to 6.5 lead with a day to go, having won 6 of the 8 points available today. The holders will now only need 2.5 points from the 10 singles games that are scheduled for tomorrow to retain the trophy, with just 3 needed for an outright victory. Finally, Bryansford from County Down have won the Kilmacud football sevens after beating fellow countymen Castlewellan by a single point in the final 115 to 211, the final scoreline here in Dublin. That's all your sport for now. Plenty more football action tomorrow, of course, with the All-Ireland final between Dublin and Kerry. For the moment, though, it's back to you, Una.
Thanks, Joe. And the main news again. A man in his 20s has been arrested following a fatal stabbing in Roscommon town this afternoon. A 49-year-old woman was found lying on the road outside her home at Abbeytown Estate. And that's Saturday's News and Sport from Joe and from me. A very good evening.
The goodness of Sunshine Vitamin D. Low-fat super milk. Now with just 1% fat.
Good evening. Well, tomorrow the showers won't be quite as widespread or as heavy as they were today. Nevertheless, a couple could show up for the big match in Croke Park, and it'll still be pretty cool, really, with temperatures around 15 or 16 degrees. But there's full coverage over on RTE2 from 2:15 onwards. And now back to the weather. Looking at the satellite, there's very disturbed weather pushing in across northern and western parts of Europe, and even though over Ireland there are some breaks in cloud, we have some very heavy and prolonged showers continuing to push southeastwards, and one or two of those could be thundery in the early part of the night as this organised band continues to move southeastwards. Things will gradually improve, though, tomorrow. As pressure slowly rises from the west, the showers will gradually fizzle out by the end of the day. But there's more rain on the way tomorrow night as this next system gradually comes across from the Atlantic. And on Monday, it's going to be wet in many areas. Now, it should brighten up through parts of Connacht and West Ulster. Duller over the rest of the country, with rain becoming more widespread later Monday night as this wave depression comes up across Ireland. But for Tuesday, a brighter day with sunny spells and scattered showers. Most of the showers on Tuesday along Atlantic coast, but they will again become widespread on Wednesday. Back to tonight, though. And at the moment we have some very heavy and prolonged showers. They're fairly widespread across the country, though we will get some clear spells developing later on. Now it's breezy throughout the night with blustery west to northwest winds and lows of around 9 to 12. And for tomorrow there'll be some sunny spells. Again we'll have scattered showers, not as widespread as today, particularly in the morning and early afternoon in the eastern half of the country, but clearer weather will follow from the west later. Temperatures 13 to 16 degrees with that brisk northwest wind slowly easing. That's all from me. Good evening.
The goodness of Sunshine Vitamin D. Low-fat super milk. Now with just 1% fat.